Hello, this is Galaxy Ninja, and I would like to welcome you to the CLSP, Certified Linux Scripting course. Now, I know what you're thinking, but this is not a typo. It's actually Certified Linux Scripting Professional course, but that's just kind of a mouthful, and I like to try to keep things a little bit simple at least. This course was created by Raven, and it lets you get comfortable using the Linux command line. It is geared towards beginners and has a focus in security. This series uses a basic Ubuntu distro, and any tools that we need we will install together as we progress in the course. This gives you, the user, more control over your environment, much more than if we were to use a Linux distro with tools already installed, for example, Kali. Of course, you will still be able to take the skills you learn here and use them in the distro of your choice once you have gone through the course. Now, you may notice over here there's a bunch of different modules. If you open up the modules, you'll see a whole bunch of different videos. So the reason we broke it up like this was because, as you can see over here, this video has 12 minutes. There's other videos, say over here, that have 30 minutes. And it just allows you more control. It lets, say, for example, you're doing great, but then you need to use curl. You haven't used curl in a while, and you're like, how do I do that? Well, you can just come right on over here, and it'll pop up. And that gives you more control. So we're going to go ahead and download Virtualbox for this course. So we're going to go ahead and go to the browser, and we're going to need a couple of different tools. All right, so here we are. Before I go ahead and get started on downloading anything, I want to address something to you really fast. And you may know this, and if so, that is awesome. But when I first started out with Linux, I thought it was a program. I did not understand that Linux was actually an operating system. And I didn't know that Ubuntu was a flavor or a distro, a style per se, of Linux. And so I was really confused with how I had to install it and everything. So the easiest way to think about it is just like Windows has XP, NT, Windows 7, Windows 10, etc., etc. And just like the Mac has Panther, Puma, Lion. Yes, I know I didn't do that in order. Linux has that too. Linux has Ubuntu, it has Kali, at one point it had Backbox. It has all these different variants, but they're all Linux. And because Linux is not a program, but an actual operating system, we have to find a way to run the operating system on our operating system. And that is where Virtualbox comes in. You need a virtual machine to do this. Now, I'll provide you with the links, but if for some reason you want to type it in yourself, you can go ahead and type in Virtualbox. You can even separate it, and it'll still pop up the correct place. And you're going to go ahead and click on this button. It's not going to automatically download, don't worry. It's going to bring you to this page right here. And obviously, if you have an older computer, you're not going to be able to download this particular Virtualbox. You're going to need to go with one of the earlier builds. Over here, obviously it says if you still need support for 32-bit hosts, you have to use Virtualbox 5.2. And then you would just choose, you would not choose these, you'd always choose the latest one. And you would choose whether if you were currently on a Windows machine, you would choose Windows. If you're on Mac, you'd choose Mac, and if you were on Linux, you would actually choose the Linux operating system you are currently on. And then you would also download the extension pack. And again, if you're not on a 32-bit host, but you're having issues with software virtualization, and Raven will go over that a little bit in the next video. But if you're having issues with that, you're going to need to go ahead and do this particular build. And again, choose what is right for the operating system you are currently using. you might be running Linux, and you might wonder, well, why can't I just use the registry? Well, Ubuntu doesn't always have the most up-to-date software if you're using a registry, so even if you're using Linux, go ahead and go to the site instead of using the command line. You'll notice that both of these versions will only be supported until July of this year, July 2020. But there's other different ways we can install the operating system if you can't use Virtualbox. We can install it on a CD, we can install it on a USB, we can find a different virtual machine. It's all good. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to download this, save the file. It's going to go to my download folders, and I'm also going to use the Virtualbox extension pack, and I'm going to go ahead and download that, and again I'm going to save the file. And wow, that was pretty fast. That's nice. And I'm going to slide on over there. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab Ubuntu, but we're not going to use the full version. We're going to install a mini ISO because it takes a lot less space and because we want to install, again, all the tools ourselves. So if you type in latest Ubuntu, long-term support, you'll notice there is a long-term support Ubuntu 20.04, but you'll also notice it has all of these right here. It's not mini in any way, shape, or form. So we want to go over here, and again, you can go ahead and type in Ubuntu mini ISO LTS. And it'll bring you to an Ubuntu page, and I just want to show you that was the same thing. And you can scroll on down here and you'll see that the latest one currently is Bionic Beaver. So I'm going to go ahead and download this because I do have a 64-bit PC, but you might not have a 64-bit PC, and if that is the case, you'll want to go ahead and go with the 32-bit Bionic Beaver. Bionic Beaver is supported until 2023, so it is long-term support. I think it's also July. I'd have to double check, but the main thing is it's still supported. It'll be supported for a while yet. Now, the videos were originally created using 14.04 Trusty Tar. That would be this one right down here, but it expired this year actually. So whenever you see 14.04 Trusty Tar in the video, just mentally replace it with whichever version is the most current. In this case, it would be Bionic Beaver for us. And again, long-term support just means that they're going to support it for 5 years from the date of release, basically. I'm going to go ahead and just wait a few minutes. And what I'll do is I'll fast forward through this part. Now, we're going to install Virtualbox. And when you're installing Virtualbox, you're going to go ahead and you can either grab it from here or wherever it's saved to, generally in your downloads folder. Now let me go ahead and just close this out. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and stop here. I'm going to stop this, and then I will continue with the installation in the next video. And I look forward to seeing you guys again.